Let me catch you up on what happened with the DNA experts. So both of the DNA experts said pretty much the exact same thing with very minute differences. Here's the basics, and then I'll tell you what I think. So they both said that the magazine was tested, and there were 4 DNA profiles on the magazine, and you can tell that none of those are Tory. So most likely Tory never touched this magazine. On the gun, they both said the same thing, that there's 4 profiles on the gun, but it's inconclusive. You can't tell if the DNA is Tory's or somebody else's. Now, both experts agreed that you would expect to see Tory's DNA on the gun if he had shot it 5 times. The defense experts seem to go further and say, look, if he shot that gun 5 times and then they tested it, you would conclusively see that he's on it. You don't see that here, suggesting strong DNA evidence in Tory's favor. Now, then the prosecution went to try to discredit the defense expert. He's like, aren't you getting paid by the defense? Don't you always work for defendants? He's like, yeah, the LAPD has their crime prosecutor, and then defendants hire private companies like mine to do the forensics. It's like, oh, okay, well, how much are you getting paid? The guy's like $250 an hour. How much has he paid you total? The guy's like $6,000. It's like, oh, well, it was really kind of just like, look, there's experts, man. This guy's been doing it forever. He's like, are you accredited? And he's like, no, I didn't apply for accreditation. I'm certified by the same people who do accreditation. It's like, well, what does that mean? He's like, well, twice a year, our lab people all get tested. They send them blind samples. They have to do the analysis, send it back, and then we get the results. He's like, oh, okay, well, what are the results? He's like, well, we never got anything wrong. And the guy's like, how do we know that? He's like, I'm telling you. It's like, how do we know you're not lying? He's like, well, you can check. I'll show you the records. And then he just kept going on and on. Look, at the end of the day, the DNA evidence came out strongly, I think, in favor of Tory. We'll see where the rest of the trial takes us. There was one other part, the big part, which is that they never gave the crime lab Kelsey's DNA. And so on defense, the defense brought out this point that, hey, if you ever get a case file and there's 2 people with GSR, wouldn't you expect to get 2 people's DNA? And the guy's like, yeah, that would make sense. If there's 2 people who've tested positive for the GSR and we're testing one's DNA, we ought to test both DNA. Duh.